A 19-year-old young girl was involved in a car accident and she suffered brain damage and didn't have to. Good afternoon, my name is Barry Washor and I'm a medical malpractice attorney. Come, listen to hear her story and how we helped. This young woman was in college when she went out for a night with her friends and unfortunately was involved in a serious car accident. She was taken to a local emergency room, and it was clear from the time she got to the emergency room that she had severe orthopedic injuries. She had a fracture of her leg. She had fractures of her ribs. She had fractures of her sternum. The doctors in the emergency room cared for her. They treated her. They brought her for x-rays. But what they didn't realize was that her blood counts were dropping at a precipitously fast level. Within an hour, her blood counts were getting lower and lower. This wasn't explainable by the orthopedic injuries. Something else was going on, but the physicians didn't realize it at the time. After about an hour and a half or 2 hours, all of a sudden her heart stopped, and a code was called, and doctors came in to try to start her heart, and after several attempts, they were able to do so. But during that time, she suffered an anoxic brain injury. This means that during about 8 minutes or so, her brain was not receiving the sufficient amount of blood that it needed. It wasn't receiving the oxygen that it receives when the blood is delivered. And as a result, though she survived that cardiac arrest, she was left with severe brain damage. She was in a coma. But we realized that in addition to all of this misfortune, she was aware. She was aware of her surroundings. She was aware of what was going on, and she was able to feel pain. Now, when we brought a lawsuit on her behalf, because she lived with her mom, and her mom clearly didn't have the resources or the ability to care for her daughter, her only child, who she wanted at home. She didn't want to have to see in a facility. She wanted her daughter at home. Well, unfortunately, the hospital didn't have too much of an explanation insofar as why there was such a delay in determining that what was going on was that her spleen and liver were lacerated, causing blood to flow out. This internal bleeding led to the cardiac arrest. But what they argued, and what they argued strongly, was that this young lady was in a vegetated state and that she didn't know what was going on and that she was unaware. Now, the main reason that they focused on this issue is because if she wasn't consciously aware of her surroundings, she'd be entitled to much less compensation under the laws of New York. But we were able to prove that their theories were not correct. And how did we do that? Well, we had a board-certified neurologist examine this woman, and we had somebody videotape that examination. And it was so clear that when this examination occurred, that this young woman was responsive to stimuli. That's the medical term that was used, meaning she was able to feel, even though she couldn't express it, and even though she couldn't articulate it. Well, during the course of trial, when this information came out, defense didn't want a jury to decide the issues. They agreed to a settlement in excess of $10 million. With that money, her mom knows that her daughter will be provided for, and she's able to see her daughter every day, as the home that they live in now is fully equipped to care for a young woman with these kinds of unfortunate and severe problems. These are the stories we deal with. These are the type of cases that we handle. If you have any question whatsoever as to any injury or illness that you feel was caused by or in some way contributed to by the negligence of a physician or a hospital or a medical provider, call me. I'm here to talk to. I'm here to see if we can help. My name is Barry Washor, and I'm a medical malpractice attorney.